Let's continue. We're going to add and subtract decimals. All right, the very first thing you need to do is make sure that you write the decimals that you're going to be adding or subtracting so that the decimal points line up vertically. And I'll show you what that means. Then you add them or subtract them, and then you place the decimal point where it was when you lined them up in the problem. So let's look at our first example. Now, be very neat. 14.86. 5.5, 9.1. Notice I lined my decimals up, and that's where my answer is going to have his decimal also. Now, I'm going to add down each column. The 6 is the only thing, so I'm going to bring him down. 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 1 more is 14. Bring down the 4, carry the 1. 1 and 4 is 5. Plus 5 more is 10. And 10 plus 9 is 19. Bring down the 1, carry the 1, and 1 and 1 is 2. So you just add them like we were doing before, and that's it. Let's do it again with these. We have 1.093. I have the number 37. I'm going to put a decimal point behind it even though it doesn't have one. And then I have 24.58. Here's where the decimal point is, and I'm going to be careful. And if you need to, you can put placeholders in. There. If it makes it easier to see the rows, then you can say, well, I'm going to add these. Oops. I'm going to add these together. I'm going to add these together, and I'm going to add these together. And these and these. Do you see what I mean? You want to line them up. Let's continue. 3 plus 0 plus 0 is 3. 9 plus 8 is 17. Bring down the 7, carry the 1. 1 and 5 is 6. 1 and 7 is 8, plus 4 more is 12. Carry the 1. And 1, 3, and 2 will make 6. Let's continue because we are still going to have the different sign rules and everything. And here is one. If I have 8.1 plus a negative 99.2. Remember, when you add two different signed numbers, you're going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger. So I know that the answer is going to be negative because the bigger number is negative. But now you remember the rule? You take the 99.2 and you're going to subtract the 8.1 from him. So 2 minus 1 is 1. Here's where the decimal point goes. 9 minus 8 is 1, and then the 9 just comes down. Let's try it again on number 12. Let's see, if I have 9 point something minus 3 point something, the positive number is larger, right? So my answer is going to be positive. I'll put it right there in just a minute. So I'm going to subtract them. So I have 9.262 minus 3.371. Then you subtract them like whole numbers, knowing that my decimal is going to end up right here. 2 minus 1 is 1. 6 minus 7 can't do it. I got to borrow 1. I'm going to borrow 1. It's going to leave a 1 there. Give me a 1 in front of the 6. 16 minus 7 is 9. 1 minus 3, I can't do it. I got to borrow again. That 9 is going to drop down to an 8 and put a 1 in front of the 1, makes it 11. 11 minus 3 is 8, and 8 minus 3 is 5. And we already talked about earlier, the answer is going to be positive. 2 more on this page. We have 5.8 minus 3.73. The larger value is positive, so is my answer going to be. Now let's subtract. 5.8 minus 3.73. I'm going to put a placeholder here since I have to subtract 3 from something. I can't subtract it from 0, so I'm going to back off a little bit, borrow. That's going to drop him down to a 7, give me a 10. 10 minus 3, oh, By the way, here's where the answer's decimal is going to go. 10 minus 3 is 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. And 5 minus 3 is 2. And the answer is going to be positive. I had taken care of that already at the beginning. Now we have 52 minus 27.41. Again, another one where the answer is going to be positive, so I'm going to bring it down. 52 minus 27.41. I'm going to go ahead and use placeholders where I need them. I'm going to put some zeros in to give myself something to work with. I got to borrow all the way up here just to get rid of the 1, so let's do that. I'm going to borrow a 1 from him. I'm going to give it to this guy, but I need it on the end, so I'm going to borrow from the 10. It's going to leave that as a 9, and that's going to make that one a 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 4 is 5. Don't forget the decimal point comes down. 1 minus 7, can't do it. I got to borrow again. I'm going to borrow from the 5, makes it a 4. Give the 10 to the 1, makes it 11. 11 minus 7 is 4, and 4 minus 2 is 2. And we talked about it at the beginning of the problem. It's a positive answer. Now, from before, we're still going to see the same things. If I don't like having a problem written with subtraction, I can turn it into an addition problem. That is negative 6.9 plus a negative 8.5. The cool part about this is when you add two negative numbers, I know I'm going to get a negative answer. So now I just have to find it. All right, all I have to do is add the 6.9 to the 8.5 because I know when those two negative numbers get added together, they gave me a negative answer, and all I have to do is add them. 9 and 5 is 14. Bring down the 4, carry the 1. 1 and 6 is 7, plus 8 more is 15. And luckily we found out earlier it was going to be a negative answer. See how much nicer it is if you can take care of those signs up at the front? Let's keep going. Now, what is that called? That's that double negative that we talked about before. So I'm going to go ahead and make it a plus and rewrite it. Negative 19.6 plus 4.135. Okay, the larger value is negative. I'm going to be adding a negative and a positive. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the answer that I'm going to get is going to be negative. All I have to do is subtract and keep that sign. So 19.6 minus 4.135. Let me write that a little bit nicer. I'm going to give myself some placeholders for borrowing sake. I'm going to have to borrow all the way back to the 6 again just to get rid of the 5, so let's do it. That's going to become a 5. That'll make that a 10. I'm going to borrow from the 10. That's going to make him a 9 and make him a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 3 is 6. 5 minus 1 is 4. There's my decimal point. 9 minus 4 is 5, and 1 minus 0. I've got an answer of 15.465. I know it's negative. We decided that at the very beginning. Let's continue. Here's another one that we want to rewrite. I've got a subtraction and then I've got a double negative. I'm going to go ahead and make that into a plus because we can. And we've got I'm going to rewrite the problem. 3.2 plus a negative 1.2 plus a 2.5. All right. I'm going to do the addition first to see what I actually end up with. So if I have 3.2 plus 2.5, that's 7 and 5. So if I add the two positives together, I've got 5.7 plus a negative 1.2 to take care of now. Okay, so the bigger number is positive, so my answer is going to be positive. And all I have to do is subtract 5.7 minus 1.2. 7 minus 2 is 5, and 5 minus 1 is 4. And we had decided earlier it was a positive answer. Let's continue. I've got a negative, okay, I'm going to rewrite that part, negative 7.52 plus 3.59 plus a negative 2.43. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the previous one. I'm going to go ahead and add the two negatives together so I can see what I actually have as far as which one is larger, right? So I can figure out what kind of answer I'm going to get. Negative 7.52 and negative 2.43 are going to give me a negative 5, 9, and then, okay, so negative 9.95 is what these two negatives add up to. 3.59. The larger number is negative, so is my answer going to be. Now, let's subtract to find out what the number part is. I'm going to have to borrow. I'm going to leave an 8 there, make that a 15. 15 minus 9 is 6. 8 minus 5 is 3. Bring down my decimal. 9 minus 3 is 6. So that answer will be negative 6.36. Let's continue. Mrs. Rowdy went to the store and bought a pair of shoes for $57.93, a shirt for $32.60, and a pair of pants for $55.05. How much did she spend? The tax is already included, so we just have to add up the price of the shoes, the price of the shirt, and the pants. I line them up by the decimal. I'm going to get 3 plus 5 is 8. 9 and 6 is 15. Bring down the 5, carry the 1. 1 and 7 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. Plus 5 is 15. Bring down the 5, carry the 1. 1 and 5 is 6. Plus 3 is 9. Plus 5 is 14. She spent $145.58. And real quick to get it in the same video, Mr. Rankins had $1,000 in his checking account, and he wrote checks for these amounts. So he started off with a positive 1,000, right? And we're going to subtract out all the checks. So let's add all the checks together. $640.32, 54.19, and 16.56. I'm going to add all these together. And remember, when you write checks, you get to subtract that amount, don't you? So let's see here. 5 and 2 is 7, plus 9 is 16, plus 6 more is 22, I believe. 2 and 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 1 more is 8, plus 5 is 13. Bring your decimal down. 1 and 4 is 5, plus 6 is 11. 9 and 9 more is 18. 19. Carry the 1, and that's another 9. Wow, he wrote checks for $991.32. I know that I'm still going to have a little bit of money left over, so I'm going to get a positive answer. But let's subtract. 1,000 minus 991.32. I'm going to have to give myself some zeros. I'm going to borrow all the way up at the front. That's going to make this a 10, but we're going to borrow, make him a 9, make him a 10. We're going to borrow, make him a 9, make him a 10. Borrow, make him a 9, give him a 1 for 10. Make him a 9, borrow, give it to this guy for a 10. Woo! Okay. 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 3 is 6. That's 8. So $8.68 is what he has left in his account. And we just made it under 15 minutes. You guys have a great day.